animation studio that brought you beloved family classics has now introduced a streaming service, Disney+. And now, from the same community that brought you Reactaholics podcast, comes a new show where we discuss Disney+ content old and new. Disney+Pals, starring AJ Heath, Darth Potter, aka Will Santiago, Scott Meyer, aka Callum McCritchie, and of course your main host, Dr. Neil+Pals, aka Neil Michael Burris. Welcome to Disney+Pals. Mickey Mouse and friends may have brought some joy and laughter, but sometimes they'll bring some terror and things to make you courageous. Today, we'll be looking at one such thing you'll need to be brave enough to watch. Alone, or with friends. Either way, it's terrifying. This is The Haunted Mansion.
When hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls, whenever candlelights flicker, where the air is deathly still, that is the time when Eddie Murphy is present, practicing his terror with unfunny delight.
Yeah. Good impression, Will. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Disney+Pals.
Woo!
We sincerely hope you enjoy the video as we mock this
Me and
film
Callum.
inside and out.
Just for some background, me and Callum have been obsessed. I think the villain's name is Ramsey. I just kept calling him Zodghost. You know, because he's played by Terrence Stamp. We're obsessed with his voice because it's literally him doing the classic, like, ooh, I'm a spooky ghost.
It's like the
voice.
director was telling him to play around with children or just tell him, you're a spooky ghost. Yeah, come on.
I always thought he was trying to do like a very bad impression of the wind.
That does kind of sound that way.
Yeah.
But I'm a person!
It's a ghastly weather today. It's a Wednesday day, to quote Winnie the Pooh.
We're getting ahead of ourselves already.
Yes, we are.
Alright.
Welcome once again to Disney+Pals.
In
I'm
case-
joined by Will Santiago. Santirio.
Joined by myself, Cal McCritchie, joined by Ramsey the butler.
Hello, everybody, it is me. Ramsey the butler. And of course, I am Dr. Neil+Pals. And, well, I did make this little song off screen, so I guess I'll perform it to be funny.
Do it.
Watch this video if you dare. What was the rhyme I had for if you dare? It was something.
You wrote the song.
I know I wrote the song. Ah, no. It's my worst fear. Okay, I'll just make a new one. I can't. I choked.
Neil sucks at improv, confirmed.
No, I don't.
He had a good song. Now he's just breaking down.
I did so good off screen.
It's so terrifying when you have to do it on camera, but this movie breaks us. In case you didn't realize, we're talking about 2003's Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy.
That we are. And I got some stuff to say. Will's got some stuff to say.
Oh, do I?
Callum's got things to speak.
That I do.
I'm just bad at everything. Even intros. I don't have what it takes anymore.
Get on with it, you twat.
What is everyone's introduction to this movie? Callum, let's start with you because I think you have the shortest.
Neil recommended watching this for this episode. I watched it. It was meh. It wasn't very good, but it wasn't very bad, I must admit. It was just an incredibly awkward mix of meh.
Callum had not seen the movie before the show. Had you heard about it? Have experience with the ride?
Oh, definitely. I mean, any hardcore Disney fan or Disneyland attendant has definitely heard of the Haunted Mansion. I must admit, I've been too much of a pansy to go in as a little child. I'm sorry, my friends.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be strange if maybe one of us in this group chat hadn't rode the ride?
Does that include you too, Neil?
No.
Am
It
I
just-
the only one in this chat who's actually been on the ride?
Yes, okay, it's my secret shame. Look, when you're a little kid, you don't think, oh, cool, spooky mansion. You think, that's scary.
Well,
I ain't going near it.
well, see, depends on the type of kid you are.
When I was little, I was terrified of all things scary to the point where there is a restaurant in Walt Disney World. I think it's called Planet Hollywood. There's a restaurant that had a Chucky doll there, and I just stared at it from a distance, and I just didn't eat any food. I was just terrified. I was just watching it. And I was like, you can't hurt me if I see you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. My cat's telling me to feed her.
Oh, go feed that cat.
If you hear her, okay.
The
So, yeah,
cats
I
will
guess-
add to the meme quality of the episode.
So yeah, I guess I'm the only cultured person in this podcast right now. So
For shame.
I mean, I first heard about the Haunted Mansion. I mean, I've been at Disney World before, but I first heard about the Haunted Mansion when trailers for this movie came out. I did actually ride it once as a little kid, and I admit, I must have been like 4 or 5 years old. I'll admit, I was pretty spooked out, so much so that I didn't ride it again until I was like 10 years old. But then I did, and it's become one of my favorite rides ever, to the point where I even have a fan-made poster of it as a screensaver on my phone. That is how much I love this ride. So going back
Your
to
cat is like, shut up and feed me, human.
I did just feed her. So yeah, like but you guys got everything I said, right?
I did.
I take it you're a fan of the ride.
So
Now here's the thing. Here's Neil's experience.
I'm not done talking about my
Oh. Oh, I apologize. Go ahead.
Oy vey.
Callum!
So yeah, obviously I'm a huge fan of this ride, and having a fan base for a theme park ride is astounding. Just like I'm always intrigued by the amount of lore and attention to detail that went into this ride. So going back to this movie and seeing how bad they screwed it up, we're gonna get more into that when we get to the actual movie. Neil, you go now.
So my experience with Haunted Mansion, I saw it in theaters, the movie. Weird fact. So me and my cousin would always hang out and we'd play games together. And lo and behold, one of the things my cousin became obsessed with and constantly made me play games with him was the Haunted Mansion. I'd had to pretend to be characters from the movie. I had to be Leota a bunch. I had to be the hitchhiking ghosts.
Wait a minute,
And we
was a
just go
video
through the
game
story.
based on the Haunted Mansion?
There wasn't a video game. We would make it up on our trampoline.
Pardon me.
The movie. There very well could have been a video game, though. I don't know.
I haven't played it or don't know what it's about. I just know that it exists.
You know, there is a video game about the Haunted Mansion. It's called Luigi's Mansion, and it's much better.
Well,
much
technically
better.
speaking, the Haunted Mansion did make several references in games like Epic Mickey.
Oh, yes. The Haunted Mansion is a key piece of Disney lore. But that is not because of this movie. That being said, since then, I have become a fan of the ride sort of at a distance because I haven't been able to get to Florida to ride the ride. So,
You're uncultured.
well, because of that, I've just been like studying it, and something I was in and something I am a big fan of, and I don't care if people think this is like the novice way. I love the gift shop. That gift shop is one of the coolest places in Disney World.
Come buy our merchandise.
Memento Mori, I think it's called.
Memento Mori, I think you're right. And I've specifically picked out something from Memento Mori for the merch talk later, which I think is cool. But for now, I'll just say, like, it's very ambient and cool in there. And I have seen videos of the ride, so
Yay.
I'm not stupid here.
Yeah, I've
I
been
got
seeing
a lot
videos
of
of the ride as
references
well.
in the movie.
Yes, there were plenty of
And-
references, yes.
Just a brief thing of my movie experience where Will is like, this is a bad movie. They screwed it up. I agree it's a bad movie, but I cannot agree that the writers and stuff did not care. Maybe not the writers, but someone making this movie cared. So today, I am the Haunted Mansion. Let me be more specific. I am Eddie Murphy's The Haunted Mansion champion. I will be defending this movie as much as I can.
Good luck.
I mean, even then, you'll be using the term defense lightly.
I mean, I can defend somebody, but still know they're guilty. I do think I have one thing that is like irrefutably like, this is a thing, and everyone's got to be like, all right, I give you this. This is a thing. But with that, I think it's time to get into the synopsis and review.
Brace yourselves for mediocreness.
Okay, but before we do, let me just say a little historical context. So,
Okay.
Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom, they have a number of original rides not based on any pre-existing IPs. From 2002 to 2003, they tried to adapt 3 of those rides or attractions into actual movies. They did The Country Bears.
This is not over! Bears!
The Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean. Clearly,
one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong.
Yeah. It's like clearly out of all these 3, only one achieved the desired results and then some. So that should give us an idea for what we're headed into right now.
To be fair, though, of those 3, maybe by default, the Haunted Mansion is technically the second best one.
I mean, it is, but that's obviously the Haunted Mansion movie is better than the Country Bears movie, but that's like saying that getting punched in the face is better than being slapped with a brick.
Well, hey. I mean,
you're
any
not
bear
wrong.
story is better when you have Christopher Walken in it.
Yeah, to be fair, Country Bears does have legs as a So Bad It's Good movie.
Yeah, it does.
So
like,
to
if you
quote...
watch that at a party, it's the funniest crap.
Oh, especially with Walken. So, gentlemen, to quote that other movie that was more successful, you'd best start believing in ghost stories, gentlemen. You're in one.
We are in one. Look at the screen. Right there, that's me as a ghost. Which, by the way, before we fully get started, can I just say a pet peeve of mine?
Okay.
In a lot of media that portrays ghosts, something they'll do is not, and this is going to sound weird, but I'll try to describe, is not make the ghost dead. Like, in Danny Phantom, they never talk about who were the ghosts before they died. It's just like, no, there's this place called the Ghost Zone, and that's where ghosts come from. And in my head, I'm like, is the Ghost Zone hell? Like, is that where ghosts come from?
You bring up a good point there.
There are some things they don't want the kids to know, but they should.
Well, to be fair, I will be insulting this movie today, but we got to give them that. At least the 999 happy haunts are actually dead.
Mm-hmm.
They were alive at one point, not anymore.
Now they're ceased to be. They are ceased to desist. They have gone to meet their maker. They have kicked
They
the
are
bucket.
people!
Well, quote Nostalgia Critic again, and I will leave this podcast forever.
Very well.
Quote Nostalgia Critic again. I dare you. I double dare you.
Is that Eddie Murphy imitating Samuel L. Jackson?
Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Let's go on.
So anyway, our story begins.
The title sequence is quite cool, I must admit.
Yeah, it sounds kind of cool, but anyway, our title begins in a southern antebellum mansion, a detail that will be quite important for a tangent I will make later.
Oh.
I did write notes about the fact that it was Southern for something important later with Zod Ghost. But yeah, that intro, that's great.
Yeah.
The only problem I had with the intro was that the music could be creepier, but they perfectly tell you what happened without any words. You know exactly what happened. They were dancing. They were in love.
It's brilliantly
she got
atmospheric.
poisoned. She's dead. He killed himself. It's dope. Perfect start to the
atmospheric
movie. I just wish they could have.
And it was bold enough to show naked people on those tarot cards.
Yep, and also they kind of start off right, and they Also, kind of did even start with a couple nods to the ride with the "Welcome, foolish mortals," and by showing the hanging body, which I mean, obviously, anytime a Disney movie shows the hanging body, that's a plus.
Tarzan. Shout out to Tarzan.
Well, no, Tarzan.
Tarzan had a hanging body.
But they showed the shadow. That doesn't count.
Somehow,
It still happened.
You know what strikes me? Somehow that scene from Tarzan is much more brutal than the Haunted Mansion scene. I don't know why. Maybe it's Clayton screaming before it happened. It's brutal, even when you don't see the end result. But moving on.
But it didn't need to be brutal.
But
It didn't need to because you had all this build.
But I wanted.
Go ahead.
But I wanted to be brutal because screw the kids.
We were the kids when this movie came out.
I can see why you liked this ride, Will.
Yeah, the hanging body reference to the ride, that was great. But then Eddie Murphy comes on, and let me just say, I love Eddie Murphy. I really do. And to be fair, I could see him working in a Haunted Mansion movie. The Haunted Mansion has always had an element of goofiness to it, but he is not bringing his A game here. Well, I don't know if it's that he's not bringing his A game. It might just very well be the script he was given, because
Yes.
the script is basically every generic ass family comedy ever that just so happens to somehow be related to the Haunted Mansion.
Mm.
And also you can see when the movie goes bad. This beautiful scene when everyone is dancing, a boy approaching the mansion all creeped out. Close up on Eddie Murphy's smile. Movie's over. Ruined. Bad.
Yeah, we even had a decent jump scare with the ghost approaching the kid. And this movie should have been either more scary or more goofy and funny, or at the very least a better script, because Eddie Murphy, I think he is trying his best to get a genuine laugh, but it's the script he's having to work off with. It sucks.
Well, let's get into Mr. Murphy. He plays a character whose last name is Evers. I don't know his first name.
Because he wants
I'm
to
just
be
going to call him
happy for Evers and Evers.
I'm just calling him Eddie. And he's selling this house. This couple doesn't want to do it, but then he tricks them and they do it. And then they go to this bar. I like that bar. That's a cool bar. That was my first positive note. I was like, I like this bar.
I will say, it is interesting that this bar, like, this is supposed to be a Haunted Mansion movie, and that bar looks more like the Tiki Room.
Oh yeah, I thought that. I legitimately thought that might have been a reference to the Tiki Room. But then I thought, no, I don't know if this movie is that smart.
Exactly.
Are we watching Haunted Mansion or 50 First Dates?
But then, well, speaking of 50 First Date, poor Eddie Murphy, he forgot his wedding anniversary.
Because that trip hasn't gotten old yet.
Actually, hold on, I got to retract that because it's actually a little worse. He remembered his wedding anniversary and consciously chose to miss it. Ooh. So I got to give them a little credit there. It wasn't just like, oh, he's forgetful. It's, oh no, he's kind of a douche.
Yeah, but that just kind of, like this is supposed to be our main character. We already hate him.
I hated him as soon as I saw that big smile.
Gentlemen, he's going to positively change through the movie.
Callum,
Is he though? Is he gonna change?
Screw you, Callum. Screw you.
Callum's got to play both sides here. Callum's got to play both sides.
I feel like I'm becoming the Mel of this specific podcast.
Mel, for those of
Every
you
podcast needs one.
For those of you who don't know, Mel was our very cynically witty friend who would always make these dry remarks.
Callum, I assume that most people listening to this have listened to Reactaholics.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that people are
And
listening.
if you haven't, what the hell are you doing? Get over there. But Eddie Murphy is like, okay, I'll make it up to you guys. We're gonna go to the lake, and they never say more about this lake. They're just like, we're gonna go to the lake. We're gonna go to the lake. I assume they're going camping, but they're never like, oh, we're gonna go camp at the lake. We're gonna roast marshmallows. We're gonna have a nice camping weekend. No, it's just we're going to this lake. Are they fishing? Is there like some sort of water park called the lake?
They're going to
Tell
drive.
me, movie. Why is this your goal?
They're going to drive into the lake and go to an underwater visa.
Okay, that makes sense. Callum, thank you. You saved the movie.
They're gonna go meet Aquaman.
That would be a million times more interesting if Aquaman just kidnapped land dwellers and was like, "Hey, welcome to Atlantis. I'm Jason Momoa. I'm gonna show you some stuff." But
Disney doesn't own DC, you twat.
yet.
Not yet.
But okay, so he goes upstairs to tell his kids they're going to the lake, and this is where we get one of the plot points, where his son, whose name I did not get,
Neither did I.
is afraid of spiders.
Mm-hmm.
And has somebody who has never been afraid of spiders, but I've always been that guy who has to kill spiders for his friends. I saw that spider and went, yeah, if I was little, I'd be scared of that. Stop being mean to your kid, Eddie. He's like 10.
Alright, I would try to get rid of that spider because my sister used to be scared of spiders. I think, oh, come on, they're just harmless creatures that eat flies and they have 8 legs and they're kind of cute. But to be fair, that is quite a big one.
And they can bite you.
Yeah, although,
And they can kill you.
Yeah, that was my only exception. Poisonous spiders, that's my only exception. But aside from that, I was okay with every spider.
I'm going to say it right now. This kid's the hero of the movie because something he has to do later, oh my gosh, I couldn't have done it.
I think.
But this is when the daughter comes in and just kills the spider. And this led to the creation of my notes. Eddie Murphy, annoying, overworked dad. Wife character, motherly, very annoyed with Eddie Murphy. Son, scared of spiders. Daughter character, ... sassy, I think. This daughter does not have a lot of character, except occasionally she's like, "It's just a car, Dad. Stop obsessing over it." So from there, I was like, okay, I guess you're sassy. That's your character trait for me. Anyways, they get a call, which, by the way, the Haunted Mansion apparently had cell service.
It did?
But they get a call saying that you got to sell this mansion. They choose to go there.
It's the Ramsey voice, and it's already entertaining.
Alan, no interrupting.
You're interrupting. Get out of here, Ramsey. You sat in your corner.
For shame
I
on
just
myself.
wanted to be part of the show.
I love that voice. I love this voice.
Alan, let Neil
It's so fun.
let Neil continue.
Well, he gets to the mansion, and they finally get there, and then we get the perfect setup, just great setup where it's like, oh, honey, I love this car. This is a good car. I like this car. Nothing's gonna happen to that car. Nothing. I am sure that car is going to make it to the end of this movie.
By the way, quick note about that car. They clearly showed the car's a Louisiana license plate. In Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion is located in New Orleans Square, so I guess I'll give them that.
Oh, that is neat.
All right. Very cool.
This is where we get to the graveyard. They show a shot of the graveyard as they're trying to get in the mansion. And I got to tell you, I appreciate that they did go for it and do 999 happy haunts. But holy shit, that's a huge ass graveyard. That is overkill. That is so they're stacked next to each other. None of them look neat. Did none of these people have families who were like, you know what? Maybe we should not put them on this hill.
Quantity over quality.
And also, who buried them? Did they all die at once? I don't know.
Everybody
I have questions.
do the flop.
Yeah, everyone did the flop out a window, and then they all died simultaneously, but they landed in holes in the cemetery, and then over time, they got buried by the earth.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There, once again, Callum saving this movie.
Callum logic.
And I love how Eddie Murphy is like, hey, guys, instead of going to the lake, let's stay in this creepy old house, which, by the way, contradicts something that Eddie Murphy had said 20 years ago during one of his stand-up routines. He's like, white people in these ghost movies, they always go to these haunted houses. And it's like if a black person were to go in there, they'd be like, oh, honey, look at this nice place. Get out. Too bad we can't stay here. Whereas white people are like, we'll stay here. Eddie Murphy,
You're breaking your own rule, Eddie.
The stereotype has been reversed at last. Huzzah!
Eddie Murphy's being a hypocrite.
He's like, I remember that stand-up where he was like, oh man, white people go into a haunted house and they're like, this is lovely. But we go into a house and we're like, oh, this is haunted. Get the fuck up. I just don't get it. But we get in and we're introduced to the owner of the house. The butler, yes, I forgot. How could I forget?
With
So,
a brilliant lightning entrance.
this is-
Beautiful, beautiful voice.
This is the butler. His name is Ramsey, and he is played by Terrence Stamp, who also played General Zod in the Superman movie. And because of that, in all of my notes, I only referred to him as a Zod Ghost.
And also, I feel that we can specifically say that he was in the good Superman movies.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the Snyder Cut's coming out, man.
Let's be honest, is that really going to be good?
You will watch them.
Is the Snyder Cut really going to be all it's cracked?
Well, I had to have hope. I had to have.
Neil, if there's anything I've learned, it's to never have hope with Zack Snyder.
Well, the S stands for hope. It stands for hope, Will. Anyways, moving on. We meet Ramsey, and, like, he's obviously the villain. Like, he is 100% the villain. His motivation, that is the one joke that made me laugh, and we'll get to that later. But his motivation is a little spotty. It will happen later. I'll talk about it when it comes.
And just so that we're all clear, again, for another tangent that's going to be later, this is a Southern Antebellum mansion, and Eddie Murphy's whole family is black. Again, that's
Southern.
Exactly.
Think about the time period these ghosts would have died. Southern.
This is
All right,
2003
moving on.
now.
Moving on. So we meet the owner of the house, whose name I can't remember, but I just remember him being handsome, so I kept calling him Stud.
I know that actor. He's great.
I remember him. His name was Gracie, and I remember that because that's an actual part of Haunted Mansion lore, that there was a person named Gracie who people often mistaken as like the actual owner of the house, but that's a whole other thing.
But in this movie, he is the owner of the house. He has the deed.
He is.
So he is immediately like, oh, one more line I like from Eddie Murphy. This was the only other line I was really into because I related to it. Is Ramsey's like, you're going to stay for dinner. And then the wife is like, we really can't stay for dinner. And then Eddie Murphy just goes, oh, we'll have some soup and then we'll leave. And I just remember sitting there like, I've been that person. I've been that person to go to a restaurant, only have the soup, and then get out of there. But during this dinner, like, he's all about the wife. There's definitely like looks and glances, and Eddie does not notice it. They have their dinner, and he talks about how, oh, I believe in ghosts. This whole place is haunted. And then the wife is like, well, why would you want to sell a place like this? And he goes, oh, well, this house is very old, has a lot of memories.
Very classy.
Some of them quite painful. And I like that a little bit. Like, you don't really know if he's a villain or if he's a hero yet.
But at the same time, it's like, if I was Eddie Murphy or any member of his family, it's like, okay, we have to get out right now.
But Will,
I mean,
we're meant to be eating
there's
20
no movie
minutes
if they do
tops.
Wait, yeah, Will. They're only staying 20 minutes, and they gotta have some of that
also,
soup.
guys, reminder. I just need a serious reminder. We need to record this 20 minutes tops.
20 minutes. That's it. That's how long the show will be. 20 minutes. I dare say, what could possibly go wrong?
The cliche line.
Okay.
Whap, 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 whap.
So then they have dinner, and then what? That's when they all go to bed.
Oh,
right?
also, the one last thing. I want to say one other thing about the scene. As he's giving her the hotsy looks, for some reason, I mean, it looks cool, but I don't know why. It just cuts away to the mansion with the organ. I'm thinking, what was that cut away for?
Oh yeah, before we forget, the house gets flooded. They gotta stay. They can't leave. There's a big flood.
All right. Why didn't
So they all go to bed, and here Eddie Murphy's wife is like, "You're a bad person. You didn't take us to the lake." And Eddie Murphy's like, "Yeah, but money." And then she walks away because she's angry. And then Eddie Murphy goes to go talk to Ramsey. Oh wait, no, Ramsey just appears in the bedroom behind him, and he's just like, "Gotcha, bitch." I just like to believe that any day we're not at the Haunted Mansion seeing it, Ramsey is just like a troll just going around like, "Hello, everybody. Be our guest."
He's just sneaking up behind the janitors cleaning up the theme park. They just turn around and I came to give you some biscuits for your tea break.
You missed a spot there. And then he just drops the biscuit tray. Those are ghost biscuits.
Oh no, you'll have
By
to
the way, how
clean
do
it
they
up
cook?
again.
How did they eat the food?
I don't know. I would also like to point out,
Because we're peckish.
and
Go ahead, Will.
anyway, I believe that Ramsey is supposed to be the ghost host from the ride, which if they did, that voice, like, Paul Frees's voice as the ghost host is so freaking iconic. I mean, yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but it's also like a little intimidating to an extent. So the fact that they made it so cartoonish is just.
There's a line later that actually led me to believe that Wallace Shawn might be the ghost host.
Oh, no.
I mean, we'll see. I will bring up that line.
Inconceivable.
I know. I know what you're gonna say, but no, I really don't think, because it's like, yeah, Wallace Shawn says that one line, but everything else kind of leads me to believe that Ramsey is be, or maybe even Lord Gracie.
They kind of have Wallace Shawn do a lot of stuff. Wallace Shawn is the server. Wallace Shawn is the carriage driver. Wallace Shawn is the organist. They just keep reusing their Wallace Shawn.
But
They're like, oh no, we can get more out of this.
But here's the thing, though. Would you really want Wallace? I mean, I love Wallace Shawn. Don't get me wrong, but would you really have his voice to represent the ghost host?
No, I wouldn't. But still, they gave him the line. Like even if they gave it to Ramsey, and it would have been like, "There is always my way." Well, there's always my way. Like, they didn't even try. But moving on. So spooky stuff starts happening. The wife reconvenes with Gracie. Eddie goes off with Ramsey, but then he gets lost. And he looks into me and he's like, I'm a ghost, Eddie Murphy. And then he freaks out. So the kids get the actual important plot. Eddie Murphy is just screwing around. They discover this ghost ball.
I have a few fingers to raise about that finger ball, but I have a few things to raise about the ghost ball, but I'll mention them later when it's revealed.
Did you just say I have a few fingers to raise, and then since I was talking, you got confused, and then you were like, I have a few balls to raise about that finger ball. Or a few ghosts to raise.
This movie's breaking me.
Callum, this is why you need to stop interrupting.
I'm so sorry.
I don't mind Callum interrupting me. I'm fine with it.
Okay,
as long as it's me, I don't care.
Sorry, go. Just go.
Don't worry, I know how to fight for attention. I do. But moving on, they find this ghost ball, and it takes them to the attic. And while in the attic, they discover the wedding dress. And they're starting to put the pieces together. But then they get caught by Wallace Shawn and his maid sidekick. And immediately, like, just for a brief second, it kind of sounds like Wallace Shawn is going to kill him. He's just like, oh, we've got to tell Ramsey. We've got to get him out of here. And the lady's like, no. And he's like, okay, I'm with you now. They hide the kids from Ramsey. Ramsey is revealed to be the villain. Shock. And then we go back to Eddie. And this is where we get the scene that made me the most angry. Madame Leota.
Jennifer Tilly of all people.
Jennifer Tilly as Madame Leota.
We could
Now,
imagine Uma Thurman as Madame Leota. That would have been awesome.
look, there are a lot of what ifs here. There are a lot of
Lee would have been a good Madame Leota, but no.
look. It's arguable that anybody except for Jennifer Tilly would have been better, but we don't live in the world where we got those better people. We live in the world where we got Jennifer Tilly, so we have to talk about Jennifer Tilly, and we just had to accept it's Jennifer Tilly.
But before we do, just so that everyone knows how big of a miscast this was, in the original ride, they got Eleanor Audley, the same actress who voiced the evil stepmother in Cinderella, and frickin' Maleficent to voice Madame Leota.
I just want to point this out. We went from Maleficent, one of the greatest Disney villains of all time, just based on her design and her voice, to Jennifer Tilly.
That's what I was saying, Neil.
I'm backing you up. You've got a gun. I've got a gun. We're back to back, and we're shooting Jennifer Tilly.
We're not shooting Jennifer Tilly because that's unfair to her. We're shooting the people who cast her in the movie.
And Jennifer Tilly.
No, let's leave Jennifer Tilly alone. It's not her fault. It's the fault of the people who casted her.
I don't know. She said the line, dude, I just work here. Or whatever she says. Like, I don't make the rules. I just work here. That's not Leota. Leota is supposed to be this, like, mystic. This, like, being that her ball flies and it's creepy and she spouts off all of this, like, these riddles and these mystic words. And it's creepy and it's wonderful. It's iconic. And Jennifer Tilly is just like, I don't care. I just work here. That perfectly encapsulates her performance. I don't know. I just work here. And I agreed with Eddie when he just picked up the ball and was like, all right, you're just going to be direct with me then. But we get the scene where they're like in a circle and all the instruments come down. Clearly it's paying tribute to the ride, but unlike later scenes, it's not done particularly well. Probably because Eddie has a big, part in it. Whatever, moving on. The kids reunite with Eddie Murphy and they go back to Leota because they're trying to figure out how to get out. And they figure out, oh, we gotta do stuff with the curse. We gotta raise this curse that is keeping the haunts here. And this brings up one of my problems. Fans of the ride out there, I have to credit Tony Goldmark, some jerk with a camera, for being the one who said this. But this really bugs me. So I want to bring it up. The 999 happy haunts. Are they not happy at the mansion? They're called the happy haunts. Don't they want to be there?
Also, that's a really good point, and thank you for referencing Tony Goldmark. Is that because he's an actual good content creator?
He's a very good content creator.
He makes actual quality videos and deserves all the subscribers in the world.
What are you saying, Will? What are you saying about this show? You got something you want to say? Well, don't continue your thought.
Why don't you try to be like him?
Because we're professional, Will. We're not gonna go off on a tangent. We are gonna keep talking about this and occasionally High School Musical. Go on.
Well, fuck you. And but yeah,
Go ahead.
I would also like to say the Haunted Mansion was always about the ghosts. Outside of Ramsey, Gracie, Wallace Shawn, and oh, this is gonna sound so sexist to me, but I can't remember the woman who was with him to save my life. For the most part, they're the only ghosts we interact with in the movie, and we barely even see them as ghosts. We see them looking like real people. The other ghosts, most they get is the graveyard scene, which, I mean, it's a haunted mansion. Why would he keep the ghosts out of the haunted mansion? It's all about them. Why do we have to focus instead on Eddie Murphy and his generic family comedy stuff? It's
But that brings up to my argument. As I said earlier, ladies and gents, I am this movie's champion. And this is why. Leota sends them on a quest to go to this cemetery. They go there, they're trying to get a key, and we get there, and it's nothing but references to the ride. And this is where I realized it. Guys, the movie is bad. It's got a bad script. But the set design is amazing.
Oh, I cannot deny that.
Like, I was watching this movie, and all of my notes were, oh, there's so much potential with these sets. Look at the ghost. And you see everything, and all the different rooms. It's so cool. Just look at the chairs. Even the chairs have this intense detail. And that scene with the graveyard perfectly demonstrates they cared about the ride. They show the hitchhiking ghost. They show the guy with the head in the jar who's got a name, but I never remember it. They show so much cool references, man. The teeter-totter, everything. And it's so cool. The whole movie could have been that. And I have to say, I know it's a bad movie, but that imagery, there is a good movie in here trying to get out. Not even a good movie, a great movie.
But guys,
just trying to get past Eddie Murphy's jokes.
Guys, you're missing the best reference. You see, the boy, he says to his dad, "Dad, I see dead people." Do you get it? Do you get it?
Alan.
Do you get it?
No, Will, he's right. He's right. You see, because it's a reference to the 13th element.
Callum, go die in a hole.
You get it too, don't ya?
That's the plot twist of that movie. Bruce Willis is dead in a hole.
It's a reference to the Shyamalan movie.
Yeah. Maybe this is a good movie. Maybe we can all be good movies.
Yeah.
I'm just going insane.
It's a stupid, weak reference.
I don't like that joke.
Also, for all the Easter eggs they do to the ride, I don't like what they did with the singing head busts. I thought they made them annoying in this movie.
I am of two minds about the singing head bust. Number one, when they're doing... By the way, Callum, now we have the art of us as the singing head bust.
Yes.
Hey, look at us. That's us singing.
Hey.
When they're doing Grin Grinning Ghosts, Grim Grinning Ghosts, it's good, and I like it. But then they start doing all these stupid show tunes. But I have to admit, for whatever the reason, no matter how many times I've moved on with my life, all the years that pass,
Oh God,
I cannot forget. You left your key in a mausoleum. You left your key in a mausoleum. That was my introduction to the word mausoleum. So maybe that's why I remember it. But that one joke always gets me. It's like, they're writing songs about him.
And I must admit, I'm kind of half on these heads as well, because there is a charm to them that they do have great timing with their singing, and even Eddie Murphy admits that. But at the same time, they can get a bit annoying. But at the same time, they're not in it for too long, one would argue.
They also look good. Like, you got to remember CG at the time. I think it's because their movements are so stilted that it actually looks okay.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say is Hercules did it better.
I mean,
Shoulda, shoulda, ooh.
Hercules actually references the Haunted Mansion people. Look it up.
there is another thing now. Moving that glorious scene. Look, you can hate this movie. You can. But it is undeniable, and I will come back to this later, because there is one scene where it's a reference to the ride, and it's so perfect in the moment that I legitimately was like, oh my gosh, this should have been the whole movie. This should have been the whole movie. This could have been so great. And I realized it later, and I'll bring it up when it comes. But for now, we got to talk about it. Actually, a confusing scene. So they go into the mausoleum to get this key. They get it out of one of the graves, and then the body gets up. This is not a happy haunt. Is this a zombie? Is that a thing in the ride I just didn't know about?
Either way, it's actually kind of scary, and it's much more interesting now.
It is a little scary, I'll give you that. Go ahead, Will. Is it part of the ride?
It's not.
Well, in a sense it is, but...
I mean, I'll probably go into this later where we're talking about the rides themselves, but it's kind of sort of related to the Haunted Mansion closest to Callum. Again, we'll get there when we get there.
Disneyland Paris.
Yes.
I just found it weird that but then it really made me think, because I was like, well, is Leota a ghost? Because she's in a ball. So I couldn't unvalidate it.
And she's she's pretty much a head trapped inside a ball, so.
And all these zombies try to get poor Eddie and the little girl inside a coffin.
Oh yeah, and then here's our hero moment, ladies and gents. The boy, the son, whose name we never did get. He looks to the door, and there are big spiders. And I kind of like this scene. This was the one scene where Eddie kind of got me. He was like, I'm very scared. I think the son's name is actually Michael. I'm very scared, son. Please open the door. And he's just begging, and he's trying to like cheer up his son. And the entire time, sassy daughter is like, open this door or I'll kill you. And he's just like, that's not going to calm him down. That's not going to get the door open. And then he opens the door, and he's covered in spiders. And I had to admit, I winced. I was like, ooh, I would not want to be that kid. They get the spiders off him. Eddie hugs him. And that was a sweet moment. I think that's what the movie was trying to be.
That's what the movie should have been.
I don't think that's what the movie should have been. I think the movie should have been this dark story about the ghosts. And I will speak a little more about that later.
Disney, you made Hunchback of Notre Dame. You have no excuse with this movie.
Yeah, Disney, you gave us Jason Alexander as a singing gargoyle, damn it.
There is some dark stuff in this movie. But
body in the beginning, so
moving on, they get back into the house, they've got the key, and Leota is all like, oh, well, now you gotta find a trunk. And Eddie's like, wait a minute, I thought this was the key to the door. I thought we were leaving. And she's like, no, this is to a trunk. And as I mentioned earlier, this is where Eddie just gets pissed, picks up Leota, and carries her with them. And the entire time, because it's friggin' Jennifer Tilly, she's like making jokes like, oh, don't drop me, I'm fragile. Dude, be Leota. You're supposed to be scary. I think that's another perfect review for this movie. It's supposed to be scary. They get to the chest, they open it up, they get the letter out, and it's revealed that scene from the beginning with the woman dancing, that was actually Gracie's lover. And her note says, I will marry you. I'm going to marry you. But that doesn't go with what we know, because by the intro, didn't she kill herself? And it's revealed she didn't. Ramsey killed her. Why did Ramsey kill her? Well, ladies and gents, it's time. Here I thought we were going to move on from racism with Peter Pan, but it seems to be chasing us. The reason that Ramsey And to be fair, I have to give props to the movies for him, for the movies. This was something going on at the time, so at least it's historically accurate that this could have happened. Ramsey killed Gracie's lover because she was black.
Well, here's the thing. They never explicitly say that it's because she was black. All they explicitly say is that Ramsey killed Gracie's lover because she was beneath his station. However,
But also, great. Hold on, Cal.
Neil,
Will.
I was getting to that.
Okay, you say it, and if it's not what I thought, I'll kill you.
However, what we later find out is that Gracie believes that Eddie Murphy's wife is his lover. I think her name's Elizabeth, because apparently these Disney ride film adaptations love having love interest with the name Elizabeth.
It is Elizabeth. They say it a ton.
Okay, yeah. So Eddie Murphy said that Gracie thinks that Eddie Murphy's wife is the reincarnation of Elizabeth, and she is indeed black. So that must mean that Elizabeth is black, which means that if Ramsey, an old white man living in an old, like a century.
Whoa, Will, you're going way darker than I was. Are you saying she was a slave?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious gravy.
Yo, wait, man. I don't think she was a slave. Maybe, I guess. Okay, hold on. So, real fast, what I was going to say before when I was, like, arguing with Will was one of the other hints that, like, you know, it was, like, you know, because she was black is because Gracie says, oh, we were from two different worlds. And the entire time, whenever Elizabeth is spoken about by Ramsey, he's like, oh, I did it for his protection. It would have been wrong. It would have been an insult to this family. So, yeah, Ramsey is a racist. I believe in Trump's wall.
I should have joined the KKK.
And maybe he did. We don't know. Maybe that's how he died. We don't know. Disney already went pretty dark. I guess it is possible that she could have been a slave.
I mean, it was an old antebellum mansion in the middle of the South. She was living with a white family.
It did have a pretty big field where the cemetery ended up going.
Exactly.
But hold up. Even if she was a slave, that doesn't necessarily mean like the relationship was definitely consensual though, because she wrote a note.
No. Oh, Neil,
They definitely loved each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, they definitely had feelings.
Right.
So they were in love with each other though. That's what the note was about.
Most definitely.
Through us, you can have faith, trust, and pixie dust that we'll deliver to you part 2 of this conversation in the next episode. As of premiering this is a new show. If you want this show to shine like the second star to the right, please share this with friends and encourage them to tune in during their spare time. Thank you for listening. You've been watching Disney+Pals. Thank you for watching. Please share this with your friends for more fun and magic.